Welcome to Everything Pro Wrestling. Everything Pro Wrestling is a show by the fans, for the fans. And I am your host, Conrad Cushman, and we are here today with a preview of Wrestle Kingdom 13 with Bryan Williams. Merry Christmas, Everything Pro Wrestling fans. It is I, your host, Conrad Cushman, and we are here today to talk about Wrestle Kingdom 13 on episode 37 of the Everything Pro Wrestling podcast. And I have a very special guest today. It is Bryan Williams. He was once with THQ, 2K, and he is now with Yuke's. And I am so happy to have Bryan on. Bryan, what is going on, my friend?
Conrad, Merry Christmas, brother. How you doing?
I am excellent today. We are here to talk about Wrestle Kingdom 13. Bryan is a huge wrestling fan. And if you guys didn't know, I'm going to tell you everything about this show. The podcast is going to be posted on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Tuned In. So if you guys are on any of those platforms, make sure you subscribe. And if you are on YouTube watching this live, make sure you click the like button and subscribe to the channel as well. Wrestle Kingdom, though, let me tell you guys something first and foremost. A lot of people don't know how to order this show, so I'm going to tell you how. It's going to take place on January 4th, 2019. New Japan Pro Wrestling will host their biggest show of the year. This is their WrestleMania, if you're not sure about it. So this is going to be an amazing show. The pre-show will start at 2 a.m. That's right. You're going to have to wake up early. All the other fans around the world have to do it, and you're going to have to do it for this show, but it's well worth it. Wrestle Kingdom will start officially at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we got Bryan here. Like I said, I've been a fan of Bryan since his days in the SmackDown versus Raw days, and Here Comes the Pain when he was a tester. Bryan, you are currently a game designer, is that correct?
That is correct. Technically, I am a game design supervisor.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
No. It's all right. It's all right. I still do game design. Just don't write as many as I used to. But I'm still heavily involved in the creative direction of the franchise. And you said you're a fan of me. I'm a fan of you, bro.
Oh,
I love the podcast. I subscribe. I've been listening to all the episodes you put out. I just heard last week the best of. It was very entertaining listening, man.
Bryan, I appreciate that. I guess we don't really have any more time to waste. Let's get into Wrestle Kingdom 13, guys.
Let's do it.
Let's start with the pre-show match, Bryan. We're going to have a number one contenders gauntlet match for the never Openweight 6-man tag team championships. The current champions for those titles are the IWGP tag team champs, GOD, Guerrillas of Destiny, and the IWGP junior heavyweight number one contender. And they're not defending on this show because they are going to have matches later on, which we will talk about and go through. Now, in this match, we have learned about an injury that has happened. Michael Elgin is not going to be able to compete at the event, and he is going to be replaced by the legend Yuji Nagata for this show.
Blue Justice.
That's right. Yuji Nagata is going to hold it down, but I really feel bad to see anybody get hurt like that. Very sad to see someone taken off the show. And I'm also hurt not to see my man Jushin Thunder Liger on this show a little bit. Hopefully he shows up somewhere, but it hurts me. He's one of my favorites since I was a kid.
No, me too. I love Jushin. And you're right. There is something wrong about him just not having a presence on this show.
Do you miss the Rumble match?
Honestly, I was going to say, I don't. I think this is a good alternative to that. I'm kind of rumbled out. I mean, I know this is New Japan, but we're about to get pretty Royal Rumble heavy with just the WWE product. So I'm kind of glad that New Japan has pivoted and they've got this match instead of a pre-show slot instead of the Battle Royal. And I think this is more. It's got more stakes to it,
Right, it's determining championship on the line.
Yeah. So as far as pre-show matches go, you could do far worse. I think this one will be entertaining enough. I didn't know about the Michael Elgin injury until you mentioned that. To be quite honest, yeah, I didn't know about that one. That sucks. I'm a big fan of his and what he's been doing in New Japan.
Yeah, so we got 5 3-man teams in this one. We got Ryusuke, Taguchi, we got Yano, and we got Makabe. So that's one team. We also have the team of David Finley, Jeff Cobb, and Yuji Nagata. Can I just say that's an amazing freaking team. Jeff Cobb's my boy, man. I love Jeff Cobb.
I like Jeff Cobb too. And quiet as kept, I think David Finley, he is making a name for himself. Like he's one of those guys in New Japan. Like when I first saw him a couple years ago, I mean, I gave him respect just out of the fact that he's, Finley's son. I love Finley. But I gotta say, man, he's kind of won me over, man. This guy's good. I kind of wish he would tighten up the presentation a little bit, but the guy can go in the ring. He really can. I'm looking at this team. I mean, you got Blue Justice, Nagata, who I love, Jeff Cobb, who I'm the same thing. I'm a big fan of Cobb, and Finley. Like that really is a solid team, top to bottom.
I know. And then could you just imagine Jeff Cobb and if Michael Elgin was in the match, those two just doing tag team maneuvers together? Just they're monsters, dude. I don't know. I'd love to watch them both perform. The third team that we have in this is Chucky T and Trent Beretta, best friends, and we have Goto as well, who will be joining them. That's another solid team. Solid team. Go ahead, Brian. No,
I was gonna say I'm never gonna not root for Beretta. Love Trent. He's a great dude. I had the pleasure of the mocap several occasions. And I'm so happy to see that he left WWE, that he's found the success that he's had in New Japan, because he really is just. Greg is a great guy, and a kick-ass wrestler too. Like he's one of the best, underrated. Like people don't talk about him enough, in my opinion. But this is a really solid team. Chuck Taylor, Hirooki Goto. Yeah, I like this squad.
Brian, I'm also need you to correct me on any names being said that I mess up, because sometimes I'm not good at all these. But let me just say this too. I was at work talking with somebody, and I'm going to bring up the Trent Beretta thing. He wears Bill Murray on his knee pad. Now, I don't know if you know why he does that, because I'm not too sure why, but I was very disappointed at work to know that some millennials that I work with, and I'm a millennial as well, but I'm on the older side of it. Younger millennials had no clue who Bill Murray was. I brought up almost every movie this dude was in. Yeah, I was crying at work. And if she's listening, she knows who I'm talking about. Wow. And I was going to cry at work because she did not know any of the movies I brought up. I went through every blockbuster movie until I said Space Jam was the last one. I'm like, he's in Space Jam at the end of the game. Oh, that guy. And I'm like, I'm done with you. I'm through. No, and I had somebody also tell me they didn't know who Lawrence Fishburne was at work this week. So it's just been a bad week with like not knowing celebrities for me.
Well, that makes my soul cry a little bit.
I'm like, you've never seen Boys in the Hood?
Yeah, Boys in the Hood.
Othello?
Yeah, how you know Bill Murray? Wow.
Yeah, but awesome team once again for those guys right there. Another team we have, Davey Boy Smith Jr. Love that guy, and we could talk about his MLW work just alone right now for what he's doing with Pillman's son. I love Davey Boy Smith Jr. We got Lance Archer. They are the Killer Elite Squad, and Minoru Suzuki. That's one old dude that I'm not saying anything bad about, because if I ever meet him, I know I'm done. So.
Yeah, Suzuki's a tough SOB, man. He really is. He's almost like, I don't want to be too hyperbolic about it, but he's kind of like New Japan's Brock Lesnar, which, for me, like when I'm seeing these matches, I'm like, this is a great card for Wrestle Kingdom 13. But I'm like, you couldn't find a better spot for Minoru Suzuki? Like, out of all the matches that are on here, I look at this, I'm like, man, I really would have wished we could have had him in a singles match against somebody. But I trust New Japan and their bookers. It wasn't his time this year, but the guy can go, especially like you said, for his age. He's a killer.
and you know what, like you said too, though, this pre-show match, they have some names that are worth money. Like if you book these guys on the independent scene, I would say almost, what do we got, 5 teams, 3 each. I would say 14 or 15 out of 15 are going to main event any indie show you go to easily. No questions asked.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And we got the last team here. It's Marty Scurll, Takahashi, and Hangman Adam Page. Like, this is the Ring of Honor squad, basically. Like, they're holding it down right here. And I love the work Marty's doing. Shout out to PCO, too. That man never gets enough love for the work he's doing with Marty and the Villain Enterprises. And I know I'm going into different segments right now, but Marty's doing a great job in Ring of Honor. Takahashi's really good. I think people sleep on him a lot. Don't underestimate him. And Hangman Adam Page, I've been a huge fan of his since like All In, but he's probably on my most improved wrestlers because I remember when he was just Adam Page and doing this thing. He's come a long way. He's really good.
Yeah,
he's got the character down.
Yeah,
do you have any thoughts on these guys, Brian?
Well, I'll echo your sentiments about Adam Page. I mean, he's a guy that, this year he really made an impression on me because it's not that I thought he was a bad wrestler before, but he was always at he was very nondescript. Like I really couldn't get a beat on who he was, like good in the ring, but almost like, yeah, so he's good, but there's a lot of guys that are good in the ring. It's like I don't get a sense of a character from him. But this year he's really like turned up the fucking. Oh, can I curse? I'm sorry, man.
Go ahead, do your thing, man.
He turned up the dial in his character, and he's really been for me a guy that stood out this year. Where it's like, okay, now I understand Hangman Adam Page. Now I get it. Now he's taken what he can do in the ring and he's merged that. He's got a great solid character behind him. Dude, he's gonna be printing money. He really is. And I am one of those guys that has slept on Takahashi for a long time. Takahashi, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I just never. As far as Bullet Club or the Elite is concerned, he was always a guy that he brings out the pretty girl, but it's like he's like the last guy that I want to see. Even though he's good.
For our WWE fans, he's the Godfather in the nation. Like
he is.
That's what he does, man. He's there. He's the side man, but I just think he's better than people give him credit for. Is basically what I was trying to say with that.
And I agree. And I've seen him wrestle this year, especially where I'm like, and it's made me kind of give him a different. I've looked at him through a different lens now. I'm like, okay, this guy, because I saw some matches with him in the G1 where he really impressed me, and I was like, okay, this guy, he's more than just the Godfather to the in the Bullet Club, breaking out the hot shit. So I like this team a lot. Marty Scurll, I mean, the guy's the villain, man. He's good. Talk about a guy with in-ring, the work rate, the character. I mean, yeah.
Marty's the man. And big shout out to my wife for getting me a Villain Club t-shirt. Just got to show some love to the wifey. I got that in the Young Bucks t-shirt for Christmas today. I don't have them on display right now, but love her for getting me that stuff.
Now you got your own merch on. You got to pump the product, man.
I gotta represent. That's how it goes. And I found someone today who finally copied this too, guys. So if you ever type in everything pro wrestling, I found someone who's taken my logo. So that means I've made it. Someone has copied my logo and finally used it for their own and changed one letter around it. I was just like, oh, busted, buddy.
That is telltale sign of success. Start ripping you off.
Exactly. Brian, since you are the guest, man, I got to hear your prediction first on this one. Who is your team to take this home and be the new number one contenders?
I look at these teams and it's almost like a pick 'em. I mean, I think the Elite, I think they're just out just because of what we kind of know about or the uncertainty surrounding Adam Page as far as, all Elite wrestling. I'd be surprised if I don't think he's got long with New Japan. So I kind of take him and that team out of the equation. Beyond that, I mean, I think I think.
And my other logic thing behind this one was, I canceled them out too. The reason I canceled them out was I don't think we're going to see Elite versus Bullet Club. Do you know what I mean? I think it's too soon, and that's not the match that you want it to be if you were going to do that.
Exactly. I agree. My money is on Suzuki-gun to win this match and for them to reassert their dominance. Makabe and Yano, Taguchi, I mean, I like all three of those guys. I just don't see them as contenders for that title, even with it being the 6-man, never open weight. And then, with Nagata, subbing in for Michael Elgin, I think that kind of, eliminates them from winning because that's not what they wanted anyway. He's a replacement. And as much as I would love for Beretta and Chucky and Goto to win the belts, I think in 2019 I just see more on the horizon for all three of those guys. So I'm going with Suzuki-gun on this one.
We have the same prediction, my friend. I am definitely going with Davey Boy Smith Jr., Lance Archer. You can't go wrong with this team. I think Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Lance Archer have been slept on as far as New Japan goes, but Davey Boy Smith's name is ringing bells, like I said, in MLW with Pillman's son, and Brian Pillman is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Hence why I mentioned that I love Jushin Liger. It's because of the matches with those two in
those
the early
matches,
90s.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Lance Archer, someone who was very talented in TNA, WWE, never really given a shot. He's doing great work in New Japan and finally getting the success he deserves. And Suzuki is the man. And why wouldn't you give him something? He should be on the main card.
Yeah, I agree. We're two smart individuals right here.
I am on point with you for that one. Now we get into the main part of the show, Brian. And these matches are going to be amazing, so be prepared for some good talking points about this one, guys. So we have the Never Openweight Championship. We have Kota Ibushi, who is the champion, versus Will Ospreay. If you've never seen either of these two wrestle, you are missing out. As soon as this podcast is done, I want you to go on YouTube and type in both their names and find a match with them against Ricochet, Kota Ibushi versus anybody. It doesn't matter. You can have him teaming up with Kenny Omega. You have to see these two wrestle. This match is the match I think that could potentially steal the show for a lot of American fans. Normally these two are in different weight classes because Ibushi is trying to be a heavyweight at this time and Ospreay is a junior heavyweight. But this is the beauty of the Never Openweight Championship, so you can get matches like this.
Yeah, absolutely. You're spot on with both of these guys. I mean, Ibushi and Ospreay. I mean, this is the equivalent of like a video game match right here. This is good. You're going to see athleticism beyond belief. Both of these guys are just athletic freaks, and this is the match. This is the match on this show that is. Because there's a lot of good ones here. This is the match that is not my number one that I'm looking forward to. It's my second. But there's no way this will disappoint. And I'm hoping that they're given at least 10 to 15 minutes of time to do their thing.
Oh, I think they're going to get way more than that. You have to.
You think so?
Yes.
You think so? I don't know. Because that Never Openweight Championship doesn't really get a lot. It doesn't get the love that it probably should. But I hope you're right. Because they're definitely deserving of that time. But I guess, for me, is like, even at 15 minutes, you guys will blow them mind. Like you said, for American audiences who are not familiar with them, they are going to lose their stuff when they see these two wrestle. Because both of them are just amazing. I mean, I'm a really big fan of Ibushi. I first saw him in 2006. My first a live Japan show I went to. It was a Pro Wrestling Noah show, and he was in a 6-man with Misawa, and he instantly stood out. And I didn't even know his name at that point, but I'm like, who is this dude? Because he was doing things that I had never seen before. And Will Ospreay, I mean, in terms of like, if you like high flying wrestling, if you like, just like I said, that incredible athleticism, and this guy is a gift machine. You say GIF or GIF? GIF,
I
right?
say GIF. I say GIF.
Yeah. So I think there's going to be a lot of highlights born out of this match, and I really am excited and looking forward to this one. Yeah, this is going to be a barn burner.
Yeah, I mean, even the point that's been selling me on this match is basically the GIF of I think it was Ibushi doing the Hurricanrana to him, and he lands on his feet. It just looks crazy, and I'm like, dude, this has to be in a video package. It has to be. Where he had the look on his face, and I would just set it up like like a crazy horror movie where his face just goes crazy, and then they just have this big face off right before, and then you lead right into the match of the entrances. It's one of the beauty things about wrestling. But Brian, once again, I'm going to go to you first for who do you have winning this match?
Oh man, this is like choosing between my children. I love them both so much. Uh, uh, oh man, I want Ibushi to win this, but I don't think he is.
I
I
have
think
the
that
same reason. I'll wait to see if you
yeah.
have the same reason why. Go ahead.
So for me, I think New Japan and Will Ospreay. And again, I mean, this has nothing to do with the story of this match. I'm just looking at it from like the booking side of things. I think Ospreay is all in with New Japan. He's recently stated that he's going to be doing more dates with the Ring of Honor, and he's obviously well liked with that booking team. And Kota Ibushi has always been that guy that has kind of been unwilling to sign long-term contracted deals with whatever company that he works with. So the fact that he has the championship now, I think, is kind of a rarity for him. But I look at Wrestle Kingdom as a definitive show where they really use the show to kind of reset the landscape for their promotion as it moves onward. Something that WrestleMania used to do, but now it's just like another show where it's like, oh yeah, it's okay, we'll deal with we got the next pay per view. So I think that they will. I think Ospreay's going to take this, and maybe they'll have a rematch down the line. But even that, I think Ospreay is the guy that they see more long term for the company. So, and who knows? I mean, if All Elite is a thing, I would not be surprised if Ibushi is one of the guys that potentially, maybe seeks, or tries to, apply his wares over there.
I
But either way, I think yeah, Ospreay's going to win. It's going to be an amazing match, and I'm looking forward to it.
Kota Ibushi, I think, falls into that same category of Cody Rhodes. For the past couple of years, we've seen Kota Ibushi in the CWC. I've seen him at different events, whether it's New Japan coming over here. He's been everywhere. And that's the same reason why I said it has to do with his contract. He's not signed, he's not committed to anywhere. And that's probably a good thing for his pockets. Does he care about being the champion? Maybe not. Maybe he's all about the money. Maybe he wants to put himself in the best situation booking wise that he can have control over. And I think this is the new thing for wrestlers. You can have control over your situation with this by not
Yeah,
signing. And I'm pretty sure
yeah,
we'll get into some all elite stuff towards the end too, because I got some stuff to talk about with that.
yeah.
Um,
I think I look at Kota as how he's been in his career, and it's like what Bruce Lee used to say about always be water, be fluid, and he doesn't strike me as a type to be long term with any company because I think he's a performer who just likes to he really I mean not that he doesn't care about winning championships per se I don't think, but I don't think that's what he's in it for. I
right.
think he's in it for the art of it and for being able to have the freedom to wrestle whenever and wherever he wants to without having these contracts in his way.
Yes. And if you're always negotiating, you can always get something for it. Is the way I
Exactly.
see it.
Yeah.
Let's get into this next match here. So the second match on the main card will be for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. We got representing Suzuki Gun. We got Kanemaru and El Desperado versus Roppongi 3K. They are representing Chaos versus Bushi and Shingo representing LIJ. I got no notes for this one because I think this is going to be a crazy spot fest.
Yeah, me too.
And,
I
that, and,
hope
I
it
don't, and I
is.
mean that in the best way possible.
I'll be disappointed if it's not.
Bryan, once again, I'm going to shoot to you. What do you got going
uh,
on in this one? Who's your team, first of all?
so for me, this is. I look at this. I'm instantly going Los Ingobernables de Japón. I think Bushi and with the addition of Shingo, new to that stable. I for me it would be booking. It would be a booking crime not to win this. I predicted last Wrestle Kingdom that Los Ingobernables would do a clean sweep, and they didn't because Naito lost. But I'm predicting big things for the stable at this Wrestle Kingdom, and I think this tag situation, like it'll be much more interesting with them with the championships and having these other two teams chasing them. I've been at the, I mean, we talked about wrestlers who are like under the radar, and I think Bushi is one guy who does not get any of the credit or any of the pub that a lot of other guys get, and he is a phenomenal talent. I've been a fan of Bushi for a long time, and Shingo. I mean, forget about it. Like, are you familiar? Have you seen his work in Dragon Gate at all?
Shingo is amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Like he's definitely going to be the breathtaking one. See, I have it predicted a little bit differently. I have the champions retaining here to set up a
Oh,
program
okay.
with them to steal the match. And Roppongi 3K's got their own problems. You guys can go read on the dirt sheets for what's happening with that storyline wise with the pictures, and someone's making a sign in one of the pictures, and we're not going to get into that. But Shingo and Bushi, I feel, are I want to see them chase for the titles a little bit longer. And I don't think it's time for them to make that move just yet. And Bushi, I just saw him at a Ring of Honor show here in Buffalo, New York, when they had the Global War show. Amazing match. Amazing match with him.
He's an unheralded, not unlike another one of these guys that we'll get to that I think is criminally underrated and not talked about. But Bushi is one as well. And but that's cool though. You know, honestly, if the champions retain, I'll be fine with that too, and having those guys chasing them.
Yeah, it's just crazy that I don't see Roppongi 3K winning this at all. Where they were last year.
Yeah, I don't either.
Just not for me. So we're finally different on one.
I know, yeah.
All right. So next we got the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship. I cannot wait for this match too. This is a sleeper match.
This is my match, dude. I am. This is the match that I'm looking forward to the most. That may sound crazy to people, but I am stoked for this one.
We got Ishii, aka Stone Pitbull, who is the champion and representing Chaos, versus Zack Sabre Jr., who is the heel in this match, if you didn't know, because Zack Sabre Jr. sometimes is face in certain companies, so I figured I'd tell you guys that. And he represents Suzuki Gun. We got rival factions. We have a submission expert versus a badass. That's all I have to write in my notes. I'm good. I'm good for this one. Bryan, go ahead. Give your thoughts on both of them. I'm ready to give my prediction.
Oh man, I love both of these guys so much. Ishii is, like you said, that Stone Pitbull. This guy, man, like his matches never disappoint. If you're a fan of that hard hitting, striking, just everything he does is solid. There's very little daylight when you're in an Ishii match. Like his lariats, his uppercuts. The guy, he does minimal throws. Like most of his offense is all strikes. I think the biggest throw he does is his finish, is that brainbuster.
Yes.
Or German, or it's the power bomb. But this guy really is just like a walk. He's like the Japanese version of Taz, almost. You know what I mean?
Yes. Listen, I got a confession to make. So when I'm playing Fire Pro, hopefully that doesn't offend Bryan. When I'm playing Fire
2K19. What's up, bro?
Hey, listen, I got a 2K19 character, but my Fire Pro character is based off of Ishii. Like, it's me with hair, and I look some tattoos, but I am Ishii, basically. Like, my moveset, the style that I wrestle, it's perfect.
Yeah, it is.
I digress. I'm sorry.
No, but all due respect to Fire Pro, that is a great game. I own it myself. And then you got Zack Sabre. I honestly, Conrad, I don't know if there's a wrestler working today who entertains me and whose matches I enjoy watching more than Zack Sabre Jr. People talk about, this guy, that guy, they're submission wrestlers, and I say no. The only true submission wrestler working today is Zack Sabre Jr. This guy will twist you up in knots. Everything he does looks like it's painful, or at the very least, a painful annoyance. Like he's like a spider monkey, man. Like he gets on you. He's got that body of like a swimmer, but he's lean, he's flexible, and like all of his matches look so credible because it's like, because I've had people come in like at my desk and like I'm watching New Japan, and they'll be like, "Who's this skinny guy? Who's he gonna beat?" And I said, "Just watch, just watch. He's not gonna beat you with his strength. He's not gonna beat you with his power, but the guy will twist your body into ways that should not be possible, and you will tap." And his matches always have that credibility about them because of that. And yeah, this match, I mean, you've got like the submission master versus this guy who can just absorb a ton of punishment in Ishii, and I can't wait for this match. I'm really excited for it. But I want to pass to you to give your prediction first on this one, if you don't mind.
He's flipping it on me. I got.
If you don't mind, if it's okay,
No, listen, dude. This is a show by the fans for the fans, and that's my tagline usually in the beginning, and which I will say on the podcast once I set it up. But you called me out for it, so I'm gonna give it. I got Ishii winning this. And is it Ishii? Have I been saying it wrong?
I could be saying it wrong. I think it's Ishii because
there's two I's at the end, though. Okay,
right. And the one thing I know, like my girlfriend, or actually my ex-girlfriend, is Japanese, and I've been learning Japanese. And the one thing that I've learned is that, and she's taught me, is that every syllable you pronounce. So Ishii. So I'm pretty sure it's Ishii.
Okay, we're gonna go with it. So Ishii is my person that I got winning because he's a badass, and that's it. That's all I got to say. You know what? I want to digress real quick into one thing. You saw Zack Sabre Jr. versus Jonathan Gresham at the last Ring of Honor show?
I did not.
I did not. I highly recommend that match because I love Jonathan Gresham. He was on my breakout stars for when we did the voting. He's one of the people I put in there because I've been watching him since day one, since he was like, who is this guy coming out from Ring of Honor? I'm like, that dude's got something. And I could see him being a great wrestler. But with Zack Sabre Jr., the one thing I always wanted to think of when I see him, if you've never seen him wrestle before, think Daniel Bryan from Ring of Honor meets Pete Dunne. And it's like a hybrid of both of them. Like, I think Zack Sabre Jr. was doing this painful stuff before I saw Pete Dunne doing it. Pete Dunne just puts it together so well, but Zack Sabre Jr. makes it look like that shit hurts. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, it looks bad.
Yeah, he really does. Like, the guy is just a technical, like, wonderkin, you know. And the thing is, it's not even just the submission holds, but just his just his technique, his what they call it, escapability, the reversals that he does.
He's just catch can wrestling.
Yes, that catch can, you know, and he is like a master at it, and I love it. It's like a World of Sports, Johnny Saint style wrestling mixed in with like that. Like a Pete Dunne, with just, you know, doesn't need to do anything other than grab some fingers or a toe and just bend that some bitch into a way where it shouldn't. You're like, oh no, let me go.
And the match could end from like I don't even want to, like a regular hammerlock that's just bent the wrong way, and it's over. You're like, what just happened?
And again, that which you know, it just adds to the excitement of his matches because they are so unpredictable. I know he's got a couple of moves that he uses to finish people off, but it's not like this guy's got a distinct move set in the sense of, here's my signature to set you up for my finish, and here's the finish, and it's over. He just puts you into some wacky, weird freaking hold that where you think, how did he even think of this? And then the guy taps out.
Yeah, I follow the same rules as Chris Hero. Sorry, Cassius Ohno. With wrestling, I don't think that the finishers, I think there should just be signature moves, and you have so many moves that could end it, you'll never know when the match is going to end. That's where he got the idea from the elbow from. I was listening to him say that in an interview once, and I'm just like, dude, that's perfect. Like, you never know when the match is going to end, and you should never know, because if it ends off a DDT one night, oh, that's cool, that's different. And then the next night, you may say, holy crap, that's got to end this match, and it's over.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. I agree with Chris with that. It's true, you know? So as far as a prediction for this one, as much as I love Zach, I'm with you. I think Ishii is going to win, and not only that, I think he deserves to win for the year that he's had. Like, I'm almost at a point now. I mean, I really wish he was vying for a title in a singles title in New Japan proper. But just the fact that he's got this title, I think, keep it on him. The guy, I think Zack Sabre can walk away with this, you know, unscathed because he is that heel. And, you know, New Japan, they book in kind of a logical way where it's like, hey, you know, if somebody loses, it's okay. Because he'll lose, but he'll lose credibly where it doesn't affect him going forward. So because of that, I think and I hope that Ishii walks away with this title. But this is going to be a good one.
Absolutely. Let me put a little star next to that so I can remember that when we're doing the review for this.
Yeah.
So the next match is for the IWGP tag team titles, the heavyweight tag titles. We have the Gorillas of Destiny, Tongaloa and Tama Tonga. I just shake my head. Those are two bad boys. Don't ever say anything bad on Twitter, bro. It's over for you, especially with Tama Tonga.
He's almost as bad. He's almost as bad as Becky as far as like torching cats on Twitter.
I don't want those two to even speak. They're top 5, and I don't want to wind up on someone's tweet of the week or something like, "Oh, look what everything pro wrestling said." We got Sonata and Evil in here as well. A great tag team if you've never seen them. And we have the Young Bucks. Who doesn't love the Young Bucks?
I love the Young Bucks.
Let me set up the story here for everybody in case you don't know. So Evil and Sonata won the World Tag League, so that's why they're in this match. We also have the Young Bucks who won the IWGP tag belts, the heavyweight ones, in June from Evil and Sonata. So that kind of they have history there already, and the Gorillas of Destiny beat the Bucks for them, I believe, back in September, if I'm not mistaken. So this has been months in the making, and we're finally going to see it all culminate here at the big show. Bryan, this time I'm throwing it to you first.
Okay.
Who you got, or if you want to say anything about these teams, go to work.
First of all, before I get my prediction, let me see. God, Grills of Destiny, dope. I love Tama Tonga. I've been a fan of his for a long time. And even Tongaloa. What was his name in WWE? He was
Camacho.
Camacho. You know, when he got released, I felt he was just, you know, kind of hitting his stride. But I'm glad that he wound up in New Japan with Tama Tonga. I love this team. These guys are just dope. I mean, I used to always go on Twitter and say, you know, my favorite wrestler who wears a vest is Tama Tonga, you know, over Roman Reigns. Sonata and Evil, I'm a big fan of Sonata. The guy is like New Japan's Randy Orton, just got that very methodical movement, no wasted motion, as cliche as that sound, but it's true with him. And Evil is a guy who I was never a big fan of up until a couple years ago, where I saw him work some matches in the G1, where I felt he finally kind of came out on his own. And the guy's a hoss. And the Young Bucks, I mean, I love them. They're my favorite tag team. I know they didn't win in your poll on your last episode.
They were the runners up. I don't know how it happened, bro. If I had predictions,
I would have flipped it. I would have had Blue Bulls #1, Undisputed Era #2. But, you know, Matt and Nick Jackson, I mean, I've been watching them for years in PWG. You know, I lived like 10 minutes from where, you know, the PWG arena was. So I used to always go. I've been watching them regularly since like 2008. So all these teams are legit. The talent in this match is incredible. But the winner of this match is going to be the DLD. They're going to retain their titles. I kind of feel that as long as Tama Tonga and Tongaloa have been, you know, a tag team, and even before Tongaloa got there, you know, Tama Tonga struggled to kind of gain traction inside the Bullet Club because of all the guys that were kind of in front of him. Like, he was always a guy that was like taking the losses and everything. And it seems that this year, New Japan decided it's like a reclamation project. They're building him back up, which I think is smart. Because with all the guys from the Bullet Club, the Elite, you know, kind of making their way out of this company, like to really firmly reestablish the Bullet Club as a threat, I think you've got to keep these belts on. That's my opinion. Like I think they're going to retain this.
Yeah, I think the Bullet Club, if they're going to put them as a staple still within this company, they need this momentum for this show. It's very important for them to have it. And Haku's their dad. I always say it, and people are always just like, oh, you're being stupid, bro. If Haku is ringside, bro, they're not losing. Haku is the only person I will still take in a fight with me to this day when they're like, who's the biggest badass in pro wrestling? Do you want Brock Lesnar with you? I'm like, Brock's cool. Who else do I got? Then I see Haku, and then I'll see like the Big Show. And Big Show's going to turn on me, so we can't have that happen. I'm taking Haku every time. So Gorillas of Destiny, I agree. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, Big Show's going to turn on you. Brock Lesnar's going to turn his back. And Haku's gonna be like, "Oh, we got to fight? Okay, let's go."
I just love the Haku stories every time.
I know, me too, me too.
Oh man. Our next match is for the IWGP US Championship. We have the champion, Cody Rhodes. I'm not going to call him Cody because Cody Rhodes is the man's name. And he's taking on someone who I hold near and dear to my heart. Some people, let me put it like this. I'm from New York, and I like a lot of New York rappers. I'm all about lyrical credibility. I know a lot of the young kids today don't like some of that stuff. Whatever, to each of your own. But when I see Juice Robinson, I know everyone's like, oh, CJ Parker, oh, that guy's the shits, or I don't like him. He's too over the top. I love CJ Parker. I loved him when he was in NXT doing the hippie gimmick. I loved him even before in Florida Championship Wrestling. And I love him in New Japan. CJ Parker just holds a special place in here. Maybe because everyone calls me CJ2 at home. I don't know why, but I love this dude. And I think this is going to be a good match. There's not a lot of build for this one. And this is difficult due to Cody not being in New Japan. And he just finished up in Ring of Honor. And then we got Juice Robinson, who is the former CJ Parker, as I said, and not CJ Parker from Baywatch. CJ Parker from NXT. And that was my boy. And this is a tough match to call here due to contracts and everything that's up in the air. Because if contracts weren't up in the air, I'd have a different prediction. But I don't know how to go with this one. So I'm throwing it to Bryan first so that I can deflect this off of him.
All right. Well, first of all, me and you might have to fight over our love of Juice Robinson because I feel the exact same way about Juice as you do. This is the guy that when he was in FCW, NXT, CJ Parker, like I didn't love him back then. Honestly, I didn't really get that much of a read on him. But when he decided to leave on his own, and because he saw, Finn Balor came in, Kevin Owens was coming in. All these guys who were, these indie stalwarts were coming in NXT, leapfrogging over him. And I just have so much respect for him to recognize that my best shot is to leave this situation, make it elsewhere, and rebuild myself and show what I can do on a different stage. And that took a lot of balls and it took a lot of courage. And I'm a guy that really respects that. And when he went to New Japan after he left, although I wasn't a fan initially, like I liked the guy always, but when he got to New Japan, he was a guy that I was rooting for, and I saw him that year when he first signed there. When I was in Japan working at Ukes, me and my buddies would go to New Japan shows, and I see him in the opening matches with the Young Lions and everything. And I was with him, and he looked good in those matches, and I was like, just keep doing what you're doing, and it warms my heart to see how over he's become. And the character that he's become in New Japan, and how they love him there, man. Like I saw him earlier this year. The Japanese fans, they love Juice. Like they love him. He's one of the guys. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say he's got this Macho Man-esque character now that I think it's the look too. That how could you not love anything Macho Man? Like I have a Randy Savage shirt that I wear all the time. It's my favorite. It's the purple one with the glasses. And when I see Juice Robinson, I'm just like, this dude is old school pro wrestling, and I love that. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no. It's your show, brother. You can interrupt me anytime you want. He's like a mix of Randy Savage and Elton John. And it is amazing. And the guy can go in the ring. He is so good. And I am so happy for the success that he's found in New Japan, and that he gambled on himself and it's paid off for him. So I am a really big. I wave that Juice Robinson flag. I'm very happy for his success, and he's going to win back his title in this match. He should.
We are on the same page. Now I got nothing to talk about because I got Juice Robinson winning this one as well. If you guys don't believe me, I will show you that I have. Hold on my next page here. If you guys watch it on YouTube, I have my predictions already circled for the record. I'm just marking Bryan's down at this point. That's the only reason why I have that in my hand. But when we talk about Juice Robinson having the balls to go out and do his thing on his own, I think we have to mention Cody Rhodes too in that same aspect.
Of course. Oh, of course.
Cody Rhodes could have took the easy way out, stayed in WWE, collected his checks, been miserable, according to him. And he could have just been like, I got a hot wife. I make lots of money. My dad set me up. I'm good to go. There's something else driving this man to be more like his father. And his father is one of the all-time greats who I still feel doesn't get enough respect from the past generations. I don't think they realize how good and how important Dusty Rhodes was to pro wrestling as a whole, whether it's WCW or anything else. And Cody's following in his footsteps. So I know that people are going to say we were juicing over juice or whatever, but Cody is also in that same respect. I am the biggest Cody Rhodes fan. I've liked him before Legacy even. I said, this kid's got something. I like the way he does stuff. He has a great moonsault. Cody Rhodes has always been an excellent performer, and I really think he deserves a lot of the success and the credit that he's gotten for doing it. I mentioned on my show last week on the podcast that I made some jokes about Meltzer. Maybe I shouldn't have said those things, but I did have to call him out. He said that they would not sell out a 10,000 seat arena, and Cody
I
did.
heard that episode, and I'm with you. Like I'm with you in that sentiment where when he said no, there's no way they could. I'm like, well, you're wrong, because I remember that whole thing happened. Like, you don't realize how hot not only independent wrestling is, but how hot Cody and the Young Bucks and those guys are. It's like they could sell out that building, and I'm glad they did. This is funny, man. This is the first time that me and you have talked like face to face on the phone, on Google Hangouts, whatever. But it is crazy how similar we are, because I feel the same way about Cody as you. And I go back to when he first debuted in WWE, when he was partnered up with Bob Holly. And I remember seeing him and just instantly saying to myself, I'm like, this guy, he's green, but he's got something. He's going to be a big player. And when they teamed him up in that Legacy faction with Ted DiBiase, everybody seemed to peg DiBiase Jr. as like the breakout star. But I was always telling my boys, like Dan, my friend Dan Ryan, co-worker and former designer on the video game, I'd always tell Dan, Cody's the one that everybody should be looking at. The guy can talk. He's got a certain charisma about him. I mean, the way that he just operates inside that ring, for me, I saw that talent. And seeing all the different gimmicks that he was saddled with in WWE and how he made them all work, even though they shouldn't have. The whole, when he wore the mask where he was like disfigured and he was coming out with the garbage bags and putting the garbage bags on people's faces, to Stardust. I mean, the handsome Cody Rhodes, like every silly or weird gimmick that he was given, he made that ish work. And when he got to the point where he was like, you know what? I want more for myself. I can be more than how you guys, and by you, like Vince and the booking committee are Vince. I can be more than how you have me slotted. And again, he's another guy. You're right that this match, two guys that bet on themselves and said, you know what? I can do better on my own. And I think both of these guys are doing that. I mean, Juice will walk away with the title, but I mean, Cody, I mean, things are just starting with this guy. I mean, if All Elite Wrestling is a thing that takes off, I mean, like you said, I mean, he's his father's son. I have a ton of respect for Cody and what he's done and just his business acumen. And I really do hope that a lot of wrestlers or just anybody in this business are looking at him and saying, and not just him, but the Young Bucks too, and saying, hey, there is a different avenue. You don't just have to go to WWE to be a success in this business. You are the talent. You dictate the terms. There's no wrestling without the wrestlers. And I love how Cody and the Young Bucks and like the Elite and all those guys have really taken ownership of what they do and are now going to bet on themselves and monetize on them and say, we're the ones that are bringing people to these buildings. So we're going to have a say in what we're doing for our careers. So I'm really excited for both these guys long-term in the futures. And yeah, this is it's going to be a fun match.
Absolutely. I can't wait for that one. We are on to match number 6 on this card. We have the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. We have the champion, Kushida, versus Ishimori. Please tell me I said that right, Brian. I know you'll get at
me.
You
did. No, come on, brother.
No, that's perfect. I always need help with it because sometimes in the comments, man, don't butcher the names, bro. And I'm like, all right, I'm trying. But
Yes, I think it's Taiji Ishimori, Kushida.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, I usually go with the last names because I'm not. Some people just have that respect with me, so it's not even one of those things. It's kind of like Jordan.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
only a few guys who could be called Jordan. Like there's no OJ Mayo where I'm just like, oh, that's Mayo. No, that's OJ Mayo. That's Jordan. We're not talking about it. The man is a legend beyond belief. So, but Ishimori and Kushida, I hold those two in high regards. Let me see what I have in my notes here. I got Kushida is amazing, and he's 35 years old. He was also at that Global War show. He freaking tore the house down with Bushi. It was a 4-way match, and he held it down. He is someone who I feel isn't given enough love in pro wrestling.
I agree.
He's a huge baby face. I'm also a huge Alex Shelley fan, so maybe that's part of the reason. And I wish he didn't retire too. That's a side note, probably another episode. But I got love for him. And Ishimori, he made his name in Pro Wrestling Noah. A lot of people don't know that. And since coming to New Japan and joining the Bullet Club, he's taken off. And he's done a tremendous job thus far. And I think that this is going to be a match that people want to see. Do not sleep on this. This is the top baby face and top heel for that division in New Japan. Yeah. I have said my piece. Brian, go ahead. Give your thoughts.
I'm with you. I mentioned earlier about a wrestler in Bushi who I feel is slept on and underrated as far as he doesn't get enough pub. I think the one guy in this entire company that is eternally and just wrongfully slept on is Kushida. This guy is amazing, and it's weird to me that he's not spoken of with more reverence by just pro wrestling media in general. I have never seen Kushida phone in a match, whether it be a 6-man, especially a singles. I mean, the guy, he just goes. And the funny thing about him is that all of my coworkers, know that I'm a big Kushida fan, and he's not well liked in Japan, at least in my office. Like they look at him the way that a lot of us looked at Roman Reigns, where which I found, I found kind of quite telling. I was like, really? And like, oh yeah, he's too too pushed too hard, and like, no, I like he's not pushed enough, so he's really not looked too fun. And again, this is a small sample size in my office of Japanese wrestling fans, but they are not big fans. I love Kushida. One of my all-time favorite matches that he did was in the finals of the Best of the Super J, where it was him versus Kyle O'Reilly. I think it was 2013.
Yeah,
I want to say, yeah, and it was just stupendous. Anyone out there who's got New Japan World, seek out that match. It is just incredible. And Ishimori is another talent that I'm glad to see, getting more exposure in New Japan, because I've seen him a lot in Pro Wrestling Noah. And he was actually on that same card, that Pro Wrestling Noah card, when I first saw Kota Ibushi. He was in that same match, and always, thought to myself, man, this guy just deserves better. So I'm glad to see him in New Japan getting, especially with Bullet Club, finally getting that, having that spotlight shown on him. But as much as I'm happy for Ishimori's success and getting that notoriety now that he was New Japan, the title is going to stay on Kushida. I think I don't think it's time. I don't think it's Ishimori's time. I think just typically the way that New Japan books, especially when they bring in guys from other Japanese promotions, I think it's almost like just in my own experience, like they don't want to ever give them too much too soon. So, and didn't Ishimori won the Best of the Super this year, correct? Yes. Yeah. So I think the way that they look at it, we gave you that, but you're not beating him. I think Kushida is still going to be that gatekeeper. I think he'll win it eventually, but on this show, I think Kushida is going to walk away with the title.
I am in agreement with you once again. Just based on the New Japan booking for it, I could see the Gorillas of Destiny carrying 2 belts, but I cannot see Ishimori doing it with more than. I just can't see him doing it.
Yeah.
In my honest opinion,
it'll be a great match, though, for sure.
Absolutely. but Kushida is the man, in my opinion, for that one. Let's continue on here. Let's get to the next match.
Right.
We have Okada. Another Jordan-esque name. We're not even debating this, people. Okada. I know I've predicted him to lose at like the last two Wrestle Kingdoms, but I respect Okada. He has earned respect with me versus Jay White. I have to go through this story so that I can explain it to you, because guess what? This is one of the only matches that there's no title on the line. There is nothing. This is a personal match. So this starts all the way back to Wrestle Kingdom 12, in my opinion. And it goes back to everything that happened, all the outcomes. But then at January's New Year's Dash, we had Omega inviting Jay White to join the Bullet Club. And Jay White turned it down, and he joined Chaos instead, which is a babyface faction, but he's still a heel. And he made it very clear to telling Okada that he joined for the relationship, but at the end of the day, he will, can I say this? He will cut you. He will turn on you if need be. And that was known from day one. And we all knew what was going to happen. It was just, when's it going to happen? And people sat there and they played their role. And eventually Kenny Omega wins the belt at New Japan Dominion. And Okada lost to Omega in a storyline, losing his confidence and everything else. And we'll talk about that probably within this. And then in October, Jay White finally makes the big turn. And no one's surprised. It's all good. It's cool, right? And everyone is surprised, though, when Okada's right-hand man, Geto, turns on him. That hurt my soul, man. Like, it hurt
me. Too.
It was like Bobby the Brain Heenan, Andre the Giant level of, nah, man, come on, bro. You can't do that. You're the dude who I watched wrestle Jericho at Halloween Havoc, bro. Don't do this. He did it. And I was shocked to see that happen, and it hurt my soul. So this is a personal match where kind of the teacher turned on the student, but now the student is here to get his revenge, and he's here to show up. The floor is yours, sir.
Wow, that was a great summary of the chain of events. You are a very good host, my good sir. This is the toughest match to call, in my opinion. In my opinion, I've been up and down with Jay White, not his wrestling ability. I think the guy is good in the ring, but his character is taking a while for me to kind of get a honestly, I don't think, not just me, I think even for him, it's taken him a while to get a grip or a grasp on the character that he's portraying. Because at first it seemed a little forced. The whole Switchblade, Jay White, I was like, dude, no, I just don't believe it. I don't believe it in you.
Was it still pictures of him holding the knife and stuff like this? And you're like, what are you doing, bro? What is this?
I mean, yeah, it was not convincing. The guy looked so much like a babyface. I didn't buy the fact. Yeah, it was, the character switch was a little jarring. But like I said, the guy's in-ring work is incredible and has been. Okada, like you said, his whole downward spiral since losing the title. That has to come to an end. Plus, of course, with the betrayal of Goto. Okada's going to get it, Gato's going to get his comeuppance, and Jay White. But I'm not sure if it's going to happen on this show. I was thinking about this all day, and I'm like trying to go in my head, well, who gains more from this? And for me, Okada doesn't have the title. Like you said, there's nothing on the line here. Jay White is still very much a work in progress. So because of that, and the fact that they paired him with Goto, I think he has to walk away the winner here. I just don't think it's if he loses on this show, like all the equity they've put in thus far is like, for what? It's like, I think there's more to this story, and I don't think we're at the end of it yet. So I think Jay wins this, and honestly I think he should. Like, if New Japan is serious about him and about this new alliance with Goto, Jay needs to win this match. Okada's going to be okay. We all know that he's going to be okay. But I think Jay's got to win this. What do you think, brother?
I am opposite on this one with you. I think this is Okada's shining moment. I think he has ate crap all year since losing the title, and I think this is his moment to where he says, "Remember, I'm the man around here, and I have to show it." And I don't think that what you said is wrong. I just think that it's going to happen after the match. I think there's going to be some after match storytelling here, or something's going to happen at New Year's Dash. There's going to be some more elements to this. I don't think this is finished. So I have Okada winning the match in some type of way, and then maybe afterwards there's a beatdown in the ring, and someone comes to make the save to join up with him or get involved and say, you know what, I'm not putting up with Bullet Club's crap either, from whatever happens in the shows. But you know how it goes down usually with the New Japan stuff. But I got Okada winning this, and I think that he will not get his hands on Geto just yet, but it's coming. That will be, I think, the chase afterwards. That's me.
Okay.
I'm booking it.
I'm going to stick with my pick, but I will say that if Okada does end up winning this, I will definitely be okay with it. I will.
100%.
I'm a fan of the Rainmaker.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about this next match. It is for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. Shout out to my boy MVP. I know you're probably not listening, but if you are, shout out to you, MVP, because I just always think of you when I see this title. And we have one of the greatest all-time Intercontinental champions, Chris Jericho versus Naito. That's right. I'm not saying the first name. This is respect. This is respect, because Naito is the man. And he wrestled the Young Bucks on that Global War show I was at. And that was the first time I ever got to see Naito live. And it was so freaking sweet. The dude was over. Period.
Yeah.
When he did his little roll through and he just sat there like, oh man, the crowd just stood up and started clapping. And I loved it. I was just like, finally, wrestling fans who know what I'm talking about here. So in June, Naito lost the belt to Jericho, which I was shocked by it, in all honesty. I did not think Jericho was going to win. And he hasn't defended the belt that much. He's the Brock Lesnar of New Japan. I see people saying, whatever, dude. It's Chris Jericho. But this is a long-term built feud. Jericho has defeated his stablemate Evil. This is all building up to this big rematch. And in this match, I don't think we're going to see a technical masterpiece like some people would think when they hear Chris Jericho's name. This is going to be a brawl. This is going to be a fight.
Well, he's a brawler now. Like anyone who's seen Chris Jericho, New Japan, like he switched his style up, you know, and smartfully so. You know, this will be a brawl. This will be a fight.
This is a tough one to call, Brian. It's in your court, man, because I know that you are a huge Naito fan. I heard you talk about LIJ before, so go ahead, bro.
Oh man, for me, this was like the easiest match to predict.
Same, hands down.
Naito's winning this.
All right, so we're in agreement. But go ahead, talk about him. Go ahead.
Well, because Naito's got to win this. You know, New Japan, the one difference, like booking wise, from New Japan and like other promotions, you know, WWE especially, is that they don't overthink things. This whole, you know, story that they've got going on with Chris Jericho, with Naito, like when he lost the belt at, was it Dominion?
Yes.
In shocking fashion. Because like you, I didn't expect that Jericho was going to win that. And I was like, wow. And he thrashed him. Like, I was like, damn. I didn't see Naito get beat like that before. And all the things that have led up to where we are now. I mean, the promos, I don't know if you've seen the promos that they've exchanged back and forth with each other. Like, this thing has gotten personal, you know? And again, I think New Japan, they look at things, it's like, look, you know, this has gone on, you lost. This is our big show of the year where we button up a lot of these stories. And like I said, they don't overthink it. This is going to be a freaking, like I said, a hell of a brawl. This is going to get nasty. But by the end of it, Naito's going to win, and Naito should win for a lot of reasons. One of them being just for the simple fact that if he doesn't, it's going to kill the vibe in the arena for the main event.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like
100%. Like, listen, I predicted Naito to win last year at Wrestle Kingdom.
Everybody did. He should have.
I just threw my hands up and I had nothing else to say. I was like, dude, what is this?
Yeah, that was like a rare misstep for New Japan for that booking office because that was like money. Like everybody was expecting it. Everybody was anticipating it. When it didn't happen, it really did take the air out of everything. And I don't see them making that mistake again this year. For that reason, for the fact that Chris Jericho is again a free agent. I mean, he hasn't signed anything long term with them, as far as I know. And Naito is one of their stalwarts. He's like, he's like 1A or 1B to Omega's 1B or 1A. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he's their top dude. So I see that this is their blow off, and this is the button to this entire storyline. And I think Naito's got to win this, and I think Jericho loses nothing by defeat because he's Jericho. He's a made man at this point. And I
Jericho
think
has lost to so many greats that I never thought he would lose to. Like, this is what makes Jericho great. I remember Kofi Kingston, another person who I absolutely love when I first saw him, even with the Jamaican character. And Kofi beat him like in his first attempt to go after the Intercontinental title. And Jericho came out fine. He was just like, I lost. I mean, I'll build up the feud, put this kid over, and then I'll come back again and I'll find someone else to do it with. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing for me that I hear a lot because I read a lot about wrestling and listen to consume a lot of podcasts. And the one thing that a lot of people talk about are, well, so and so can't lose, or if they lose, da da da. But it's always usually WWE booking they're talking about. It's okay to lose. You're in a wrestling match. My Lakers are playing right now, and maybe they won against Golden State. I don't know, but I understand. Yeah, they were up when I. But the thing is that whether you're an MMA fighter, playing a basketball game, a football game, a wrestling match, there's going to be a winner. There's going to be a loser. Losing a hard-fought match does not bury anybody. Jericho can lose this, and this is going to, like I said, it's going to be a brawl. It's going to be a slug fight. He'll be just fine taking the loss for this. I mean, the guy's a legend, and even if he wasn't, he still would be fine because, hey, win some, you lose some. And on this night, Naito's just going to be the better man because he wants it more. Because that's the whole story. He wants it more. Like he's been saying that Jericho was like an absentee, title holder. You've got this belt. You want to do everything but defend it. And here I am to take this from you. And I think that's how you got to end this story.
Yeah, I love this story, and it works out perfect as the opposite end of how Naito treated the belts before. It's so different to see him now. I want the belt, and he wants to be.
Now he cares.
Right. And if you guys haven't seen him, just watch him throw the titles around like he used to. He treated it like Rock and Stone Cold used to treat the belts, man. Like he's tossing that thing. He didn't care. But that match will be a good one, a good brawl if you enjoy those types of matches.
Yeah.
And Bryan, we are here. It is the main event of the show.
Main event?
Yes. It is for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. It is the bout machine Kenny Omega versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. And I mean that with respect. I know that I've said some of the other names. I will probably call him Tanahashi, but Kenny Omega is the legit best bout machine when you've seen him. There is no one better than this guy. I think he's one of the best at pro wrestling. Him, AJ Styles, there are few, and they are all neck and neck trying to compete for that top spot to be a Shawn Michaels-esque type wrestler to where they have the universal respect of the crowd. And I cannot think of the last time I've seen Kenny Omega have a bad match. Kenny Omega wrestled a freaking blow-up doll. I know Jim Cornette would probably slap me if he heard this, and I understand, Jim. I'm a big fan. Hold on, just for the record, Jim, if anyone's watching this live, I'm Jim. I'm your boy. No. But dude, Kenny Omega's the man, dude. I've loved Kenny Omega even when he was in Deep South, when he was wrestling down there. The dude's got it, man. He's got it. And Tanahashi is, if you don't, all right, the comparison I see the most is he is the John Cena of New Japan. The dude is loved. He plays air guitar. The crowd goes nuts for him. And I don't know if Bryan has a story he could tell you if it's opposite or if it is opposite something different.
No. I was gonna say, yeah, he's the John Cena of New Japan. But with the one difference being that everybody loves him.
I have that in there. That was my next thing in my notes.
Everybody loves him. There's no mixed reaction when Tanahashi comes out. Like people love him. There's no boos. There's no you know, Tanahashi sucks or sucks chance. He's over in a way that Vince would have loved to have been over.
And Tanahashi won the prestigious G1 Climax tournament. He won it this summer, earning him the title shot. So if you ever see someone walking around with a briefcase, it's not Money in the Bank, guys. I promise you, it's their contract for this match. And he has, I think he defeated Okada while defending his #1 contendership, we'll call it, for this.
Yeah.
And this match has an interesting story from the way I see it, and I don't know if you see it the same way. But when I was doing my notes for this, trying to outline how the match is going to go, I see it as Omega kind of represents the new wave in pro wrestling, and Tanahashi is the classic New Japan way. And if you're not familiar with it, we'll try and probably break it down here for you a little bit. But it's just like, well, what direction is the company going in? Are they going the way that we've always loved and known? Or are they going this new wave, which I like, but I don't know which one I prefer? And I think that's the story of this match. And it's kind of which style is it going to be going forward? And I think this was one of the hardest matches to pick for me. This was back and forth.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm in agreement with you about this, about the overriding storyline of this match, and the back and forth that they've had. Again, interviews or promos that you can see on the New Japan, the YouTube, page, whatever. It's a battle of ideologies. Kenny Omega has his views on what pro wrestling is and should be, and Tanahashi has his, and they're kind of at like diametric opposites of each other, which I think is fascinating. I like that. It's a battle of styles, and a battle of ideologies, and of in a certain way acceptance of making and taking New Japan and making it more global and less of a regional product. Because I think Kenny sees himself as a guy that can be that talent that helps break New Japan out of Japan and really, into other countries, kind of expand worldwide instead of, being content to be, Japanese-based promotion. And Tanahashi is the old guard. He wants to keep things how they were. And this is the hard one to pick. I go Omega winning if for nothing else, then that this is a company that kind of prides itself on booking things in a more realistic fashion than WWE's main roster product, Raw and SmackDown. And I think they will give Tanahashi every out. And this is going to be an incredible match that might hit near an hour. But I think at the end of the day, they really do respect the fact that as much as we love Tanahashi, you've got this young wrestler in his prime in Omega. And I think the bookers look at it from that standpoint where it's like, yeah, Tanahashi still has that fight in him, but he's going to fall to the younger, to the more athletic, talent. And it's almost like it's like Rocky, almost in a sense where Rocky's coming out of retirement, but he's got, he's still going to get respect from that loss, but he's going to lose to just, the better fighter, the better wrestler. And it's going to be Omega. I think it'd be a mistake for Omega to lose.
I agree. I think that this is Kenny Omega's time. I don't know his full-blown situation with the company either.
Yeah,
I've
me
read
neither.
Different reports. Could he hold on to the belt? I think either way you go, even if Kenny Omega's leaving to go to All Elite or AEW, whatever you want to call it at this point, or if he's going to go to WWE, I know every year someone's like, he's going to show up in the Royal Rumble, man. He's going to be number 29. I know it. I don't see that happening either. I would love to see it happen. He's probably one of the biggest names you could get right now.
I don't trust the booking with him.
No, and he's made that clear too that he's gonna want some say in what happens with everything.
Yeah.
And dude, you have to go with Kenny Omega. I think even just temporary, just to fool people. Even if they're like, oh, they think he's leaving, but he's not. He's still going to be here up until whatever date. And he's worked so hard for this. Like, enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I find it very hard to believe that they'd be willing to hot shot, even though he's not really a hot shot because he's had the title for a while. But New Japan, they don't like to make, you know, title switches to their big championship quite so often. And and that's another reason why I think, you know, because they like stability with their top title, the IWGP heavyweight, you know, championship. It would be premature to move it off them.
I am with you on that, Brian. Real quick, I want to give some overall thoughts about the show, and if you aren't familiar with it, just some things that we're going to talk about. This is going to be a long show, folks, so be tuned in. This is going to be WrestleMania-esque long, not that long, but you're pretty close. You're going to see nothing but action when you actually watch these shows in the ring, and that's where the story is also going to be told. I know sometimes you're going to see segments where after the match something will happen. You may not understand it, which if you watch it on New Japan World, you can get the English commentary, Japanese commentary. You can watch it however you want, but this will be an excellent show, and this has something for anybody to watch if you love pro wrestling. What did I put here? You know how WrestleMania has the night after the Raw after WrestleMania, and everybody watches that. Well, don't forget that New Japan has the New Year's Dash show with all their twists, turns, and stuff that maybe didn't happen on this show will be corrected at that show. So that's also a show you're going to want to definitely tune in and watch. We don't know what's going to happen with storylines, contracts. There's rumors Nakamura will be back. If you did not watch SmackDown, he lost his U.S. title tonight to Rusev. What is going on there? Some people are saying Nakamura is happy in WWE. I've read he's not. I think it would be amazing for New Japan to get him back at this point, and someone you can insert right back into the world title picture, in my opinion. We got rumors of Kenny Omega's contract going out. The Elite, what's going to happen with them? There's a lot of free agents roaming around. We don't know what's going to happen, but this is a show where you have to say anything can happen at this point in pro wrestling, and that's a beautiful place to be in my opinion, and I love where wrestling is right now. Brian, what do you have for overall thoughts on this show before we get to our Q&A portion?
Well, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. You definitely, it was wise to let people know who hadn't watched the Wrestle Kingdom show before about the length. These are long shows, but as you said, they're all action, and you know, they never. As far as for me personally, I've sat and watched them from beginning to end, and I am never bored. The one thing that New Japan does with these shows better than most companies for their super shows. Every match is going to be different. This card has something for everybody. You're going to see high athleticism and high flying with Ibushi and Ospreay. You're going to see just a brutal, slugfest with Ishii and Zack Sabre Jr. I mean, you're just going to see a little bit of everything. It's a smorgasbord, and that's what they do better than most promotions. So. If you've never seen one before, you are in for a treat. And if you're used to seeing Wrestle Kingdom, then you're also in for a continued treat that we get every January 4th.
I am with that. We have two questions from the gentleman who was actually on the show last week with me, Robert Anderson.
Robert, yeah.
Robert hates Jay White. That's my brother-in-law.
Yeah, I know.
And he is not a Jay White fan at all. He's probably booing the instant that it comes up. But his first match, Brian, are you a hip hop fan first and foremost before we get to this Q&A?
I am, brother.
Okay, well, this is going to be a different one for you. Who wins a War Games match between D Block, State Property, Dipset, and G Unit?
D Block, that's easy. D Block.
I had the same answer. There's no
Styles
one with Jada Styles.
Jada, yeah. No, that's easy. That's easy.
Yeah, we don't know. Young Buck's gonna sell you out for $2,000, according to some of his stuff recently. Joel Santana's in a lot of trouble, and I don't know what happened to half the guys in State Property. Freeway and Beanie Siegel lost some weight, and they're looking kind of small these days. So I'm going with D Block, 100%.
D Block, they're the most consistent. They're the ones still putting out music.
Yes. And then his next question was with Jay White, and then he puts in parentheses, the Thief of Joy, recently named the leader of the Bullet Club. How do you book the faction going forward? And I'm just gonna let you have that one, Brian. You're the guest.
Oh, jeez.
I gotta treat you with respect. You're in our house. Hold it down, Brian.
Oh man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. How would I book that going forward? I think, first of all, I would start like regardless of how Wrestle Kingdom ends. I think what the Bullet Club needs now more than ever, especially with a lot of their top guys no longer in the Bullet Club, they need to really, like let people know like what is their mission statement. Like they need to not just come together, but they need to almost have like a moment or a promo where they kind of really like let not just the fans, but even everybody in that club know what they are about now. Because you look at the Bullet Club and there's still a thing, but unless they kind of straighten this ship and right this ship, they're just going to go the way of like a chaos, which is not meant as an insult, but it'll just be one of those other factions that's in New Japan that is like, oh yeah, they're a thing. So the first thing I would do is, I'd have all the members, have them in the ring, have Jay White just cut a promo and really kind of reestablish, hey, if you got to mention the fact that the Young Bucks and Omega, and Cody are out, mention that and just kind of realign and let everybody know what the Bullet Club represents from here on out. And it could be something as simple as we are here to reassert our dominance and we've got these titles, but we're coming for these titles and really kind of put a stamp on it. So at least at the very least, there's a goal that we as viewers, as fans know what the Bullet Club is about and maybe even why they're together, I don't know if that fully answers the question, but off the top of my head right now, that's the one thing that I would pitch. Because I really do think a mission statement is important because I'm starting to see the Bullet Club go the way of the NWO, where they've been around, but it's like, okay, well, what's the point with you guys now? All the guys that we liked are gone. Yeah, there's a couple of guys that we like, but like you said, you're with your brother-in-law, yes. Robert, who doesn't like Jay White. Like at least you don't have to like him, at least give him a better reason to hate him then, storyline wise.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm in full agreement. I think that they need to figure out maybe if there's one more person they could add to it to write this, but I don't know if there's one guy that you could put in there that'll make a big enough difference at this point.
I don't think so
run with the heels.
And I think, for me, instead of I would much rather see them kind of really give attention to and build up the guys that are currently there, kind of rehab them. Not that they need a lot of it. I mean, they're doing a good job with the GOD, but really kind of make them feel a little bit more important now. Bad Luck Fale, I mean, Jay White's got the rocket strapped to him potentially, but kind of like strengthen them. And once they kind of get to a point, then I'm with you where it's like if there's a free agent out there, then maybe bring in somebody else where it's like, so that way the perception isn't, oh, we had to bring somebody in because like all the good guys of Bullet Club are gone. It's like let's see what we can do to rehab them, get them to a really solid point, and then maybe bring in a I don't know, let's say, I mean, you had mentioned earlier, like if Nakamura does want to go back to New Japan, maybe he comes back and now he's a member of Bullet Club or something like that. He leaves his old stable and joins Bullet Club, just as an example.
That, you know what, that'd be really dope actually, as an idea. Yeah. Now that, let me not fall too far down the rabbit hole, but Nakamura joining the Bullet Club would be pretty sick. Whether it is to maybe take the Intercontinental title from Naito or be his thorn in his side, or maybe he comes back and he goes after Kenny Omega. Like, oh, I'll bring the belt to you guys. It could be interesting storylines and very cool stuff. And I told Brian previously, I know there's a lot of people who love the wrestling video games and everything else. I will try to get Brian on for that own separate episode. I know people are going to want to ask 1,000 questions, and I'm pretty sure my man here will answer them for you. Got to keep them respectful. I will go through them and kind of brush through them for his position and out of respect for him. But if you guys want to, I will try to see if we can get Bryan on to do an episode about maybe the past with the THQ games and the 2K games, whatever he can and cannot talk about. But I would love to have him back on again for that at some point.
And I would love to be back on for that. There's nothing more than I like than talking about the game that I've been working on for the past 13 years.
And we appreciate you for that too, for providing us with that entertainment, Bryan. At this point, though, Bryan, we're going to get ready to end the show here, but I want to give you some time if you wanted to give some shout outs to some people, show them some love. If you got a website, podcast, anything you want to plug, feel free, my friend.
Well, first of all, I just want to say, give a thanks to you for having me on your show. It really does mean a lot to me. And it's been a fun way to spend my Christmas night, getting a chance to chat with you about wrestling. So thank you, brother, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you, sir.
I do have it's not so much, kind of like a podcast, kind of like a shitty one. It's not up to the standards of this one. But I recently put out a interview with that I did with my good friend, Mike Taylor, who is a really good friend of mine. He's a guy that was in the WWE developmental system, OVW, Deep South, and more importantly, as it pertains to what I do, he was involved in more motion capture shoots than any wrestler to this day, at present. Mike has been a stalwart of the franchise. I mean, I first met him when I was doing SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. And at that point, he was in Deep South. He came down. It was him, MVP, Tommy Dreamer. The Bashams were there. And he's been doing mocap for the games ever since, even after he got released. And he's a guy, like I say, he's a good friend of mine. And I did an interview with him just, because I felt, people deserve, like people need to know who Mike Taylor is. And his wife, Tracy, is also a wrestler. So I interviewed him, and part 1 is out now. It's on SoundCloud. If you do a search for Fire FN Creative apostrophe, you should find it. And the name of that stems from when Mike was released from his developmental contract. He asked why, and they said, "Well, creative has nothing for you." And he said, "Well, fire fucking creative. Why you let me go?"
That is a classic quote too that I hear from people for that.
Yeah. So that's available now. Like I said, it's on SoundCloud. Search for it, either Fire Evan Creative or Be Will. You should find it. And I have a part 2 that's going to be coming out probably like Wednesday or Thursday this week.
Yeah,
on
Bryan,
SoundCloud.
I'll put that in my group. Actually, we have a Facebook group if you guys are interested in it, and I will make sure that I put that in there. And I will show that some love, and I'll retweet it on Twitter and stuff too. If you guys give me a follow at EPW Show, and we'll make sure we get that out there for the people to hear, because Bryan has done so many interviews, and he is excellent at his job. 100% professional, always does a good job, and he knows a lot about pro wrestling. Even doing the moves, I've seen this man do a moonsault. If you guys don't know, I've seen Bryan do a moonsault. So
you saw that? Oh,
yes,
man.
I love that. But I want to thank Bryan for coming on the show. And I have to thank everybody who has helped me out this year. This has been my biggest year yet with the podcast. It is growing. And like I told you guys last week, I want this to get on the level of a Sala Monster, Sam Roberts. And you guys are the only reason that's going to happen. We got to show love, support each other. And I know everybody doesn't always want to keep it positive about wrestling. We can debate about it. Let's keep it respectful. And I love each and every one of you guys who have been hyping me up, doing stuff for my podcast. I will try to make sure we get Bryan back on soon so we could talk some WWE video games, and we will have him back on. We could probably just talk wrestling games in general, because he probably goes way back like me with the game. So, Bryan, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're out.
Thank you, brother.
Hey everyone, I'm Josh Burton, inviting you all to come join the fastest growing group dedicated solely to college basketball, Everything College Basketball. Just go to Facebook and in the search bar type in Everything College Basketball. Once you've joined, feel free to begin chatting with other diehard college hoops nuts like yourselves. Also, While you're there, go check out the podcast on Anchor, Podbean, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just search up Everything College Basketball Podcast, and as always, like, share, and subscribe. Ooh, yeah! Dig it!
Thank you guys for listening to the new longest episode of the Everything Pro Wrestling Podcast. And I want to give a huge shout out to my guest, Bryan Williams, for joining me to talk Wrestle Kingdom 13. I had a really fun time talking with Bryan. Bryan is someone who I've interacted with in the WWE Games community for quite some time. He is someone who has always respected my opinion and treated me like a human being. So for that, I say thank you, my friend. I greatly appreciate you doing the show, and it meant the world to me. As far as everything else going forward, Everything Pro Wrestling, we will be back next week with another episode for episode 38. I'm not sure what the topic's going to be about just yet, but I want you guys to know that I'm thankful for each and every one of you, and I look forward to what 2019 brings for Everything Pro Wrestling. Thank you guys so much.